Happy lyrics experience an uptick 1 week after the Goldstein metric goes down. This suggests that there might be some kind of delayed response where news sentiment takes time to influence music preference. So, to those in the know, we clean data, we analyze data, we visualize data. There is a missing layer here for those that maybe aren't so privy to this process. So like our desktops and our glove compartments, your basements are messy. They can be, at least. And usually there's only one person who actually understands the system, that being you. If it's a dashboard, if it's a metric tree, if it's a broader analysis or report of some kind, it rarely lives in isolation, is accessible to one person. It's supposed to be shared. So you start to get these other questions, this hidden layer of like needing context. Why does this look different? Make this a 3D pie chart. So anyway, a layer of context can be very useful. To illustrate that, let's look at a couple data sets to answer this question. Pause to drink some coffee. If the way in which current events are covered by the news media is labeled as having a negative tone, do we listen to music that reflects that tone? In other words, if the news is bad, are we mad? For the year 2020, the dreaded COVID year, we can see from a data set of the Billboard Top 100 songs, how the most popular songs in the United States trended in terms of emotional labeling. So in other words, those green peaks mean that there was more happy lyrics among the most popular songs, and the red peaks mean that there were more angry lyrics among popular songs. So let's add one more dimension to this, which is called the Goldstein metric. This is an expert-based measure that scores the potential impact from an event on a country's stability on a scale from -10 to +10, which represents highly conflictual to highly cooperative. And if that seems really confusing, that's the point. So let's make it less confusing. First, using analogy and metaphor. So I mentioned this. It's kind of a convoluted description. Basically, -10 means the news, and this is analyzed from a GDAL data set for those familiar. It's very big, very cool. But they label news events as things that are highly conflictual and therefore might make a country less stable, or very cooperative and therefore more peaceful. But it's not immediately intuitive, so there's visual analogies we can draw, for example. In this case, using like a very familiar weather app. When the sun is out, sales executives, whoever you're talking to, when the sun is out, we all get along a little bit better. When the chart dips, it gets dark and chilly, and we're more likely to retreat, right? We're more likely to maybe be just a little more pissed at one another. And so visual analogy, right? GDAL high, we're getting along. GDAL low, Goldstein high, we're getting along. Goldstein low, we're not. For those that are a bit more creative, you could rely on a metaphor. In this case, it's a visual metaphor. You could write one. Imagine if world events were an Olympic sport where cooperation is rewarded with higher scores. So that score is the Goldstein metric. In this case, with this crappy AI-generated art, we see some judges judging a military parade, giving it an average score of -4, which is somewhat of an act of aggression, but not as bad as, say, a drone strike, which would have to be like a -9 or something. Second principle within creating context is all about baby steps. So sometimes to communicate your findings, you need to show the entirety of your analysis. So I'm going to share an anecdote in order to fuel what comes next. I have this memory, again, staying within the year 2020, the COVID year of our Lord, dancing, which is strange. To Rain on Me is a Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande song. If you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor. It was a very big deal. It came out in May 2020. I was with friends outside, obviously. You had to be. And it was like this brief respite from everything happening in the world. And I kind of had this question, like, was I enjoying a rare good news week at the time? Like, were things just like slightly more positive? Or was I like trying to dance the bad feelings, the bad news away? Was I dancing along with the news or in defiance of it, is the question. If we look at the Goldstein metric, again, US news, from the beginning of 2020 to the end, yeah, news got worse, right? Like worse and worse and worse. There are some peaks in there, but it was like largely pretty bad. And you can see there are some reasons why coverage became kind of negative. So it turns out that during very negative news weeks, the Goldstein metric was low, and angry lyrics increased by 37%. This makes some sense. Whereas happy music, on average, decreased a little bit. This also makes sense. What was less intuitive that actually Count AI helped me understand a bit was this correlation. It's not the strongest correlation in the world, but a correlation nonetheless, where like maybe I needed 7 days to process. Rain on Me was actually released May 22nd of 2020, and it hit number 1 on the charts. And 1 week earlier, US COVID deaths surpassed 100,000. Just a correlation, but kind of interesting. Last one is pretty simple, points apparent. To create context, we need to go back to the beginning. Like, it is so easy to get lost in this presentation's been going on for not even 20 minutes. I've been on this section for probably 5. You maybe have already forgotten the initial question, which is, if the news is bad, are we mad? Yes, but we can escape it rather than amplify it. So it's always good to point to that original question. We have a lot of templates available on our website. Again, shameless plug, I'm sorry. But one that illustrates this idea really well is this revenue canvas from one of our customers. It's a giant metric tree. It's very cool. But notably, the one metric that people care most about is the revenue target at the very, very top. And next to it, where anyone visiting this canvas would go, are the team objectives. Like, let's remember why we are here and what we are trying to achieve. Making sure that that is in a central location and that we point back to it is pretty important. Sorry. Okay, one pro tip before we go to principle 3. For those that use Count, left panel next to where all your data sources are, there's an overview tab. And here you can have AI generated descriptions. You can use Markdown in order to create descriptions of the canvas. You can tag people, you can add controls, you can tag cells and stickies. It's very powerful. And for someone new coming in to a canvas, like, this is a great way to just immediately give them context as to what they are seeing.